Kia ora koutou, hello everybody, and welcome back to Epich Aotearoa, Create a Better Future podcast with your hosts, Brian Osman and myself, Joe Hotai. And g'day, mate, to all the Australians out there that will be taking part and having a listen to this as well. Our guest today has an incredible journey to date, and we're sure that you'll agree with us that as you listen, we are sure that the best is still yet to come. He is a former competitive surfer from his younger days, traveling and competing around the world. He's a former professional Muay Thai fighter with 29 fights in total. He served in the Australian Army as an infantryman and was posted and based at 4RAR Commando Unit. He's also a military enthusiast. Our guest today also, for your information, has allowed us the opportunity to speak with him about some very personal and challenging times, including how he survived a heroin-addicted and abusive father, the tragic loss of his 17-year-old brother to suicide, and how he's been able to continually work towards overcoming heavy drinking, plus so much more in this interview. It's heartwarming and inspiring to see and hear where our guest is at now. He is a 41-year-old, proud Australian family man who lives on the Gold Coast. He's been married for 11 years to his sweetheart, Bianca, and they have 4 beautiful children together. Plus, they've had the privilege of caring for his sister's daughter since birth. He's a business owner of 9 years, a structural landscaper and trade qualified. He's a man who continues to strive to improve himself and help others each day through hard work, honesty, humility, and example. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Brett Whitton. Welcome, brother. Thank you for being here with us today, man.
Well,
Welcome, bro.
just so honoured. Yeah, thanks so much. I actually just can't believe that. From meeting you so many years ago and actually having you in my mind as someone. This guy, former SAS trooper now. It's just life's crazy journey, isn't it? It blows me away. So
I reckon.
really had.
I
Happy
reckon, man. So good to have you. Mate, pleasure's all ours. We're definitely, and also I want to take this time to acknowledge and mention Outback Steakhouse on Instagram. They are the people, a couple of gentlemen there that really put us, both Brian and I, onto you as well. They highly recommended you. So thank you very much, Outback Steakhouse, for the mention. And definitely, as they did that, we started having a look and stalking you a little bit, to be honest, and then realized, man, we have to get this guy on the podcast. So thank you again, Brett, for making time for us, bro.
So honoured, guys. Thanks.
I'm going to kick things off, and man, really, some really powerful stuff contained within your story. And as I mentioned, still the best is yet to come from you, Brett. And I guess if you wouldn't mind, I would love if you wouldn't mind just speaking about if we dove into a bit of the family and your upbringing. Now, some pretty, obviously, very personal, challenging, and powerful stuff in there. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind talking a bit about that upbringing, and in particular, how you survived getting through that piece with a father who was addicted, sadly, to heroin, and sounds like he was abusive to you and your family and that sort of thing. How did you, we're going to dive straight into it, how did you cope and deal with and get through that?
Good question. I don't think it's anything that, I could sort of pinpoint that, any strategies. I think it just comes down to sort of, I guess, good. My mum, she's taken care of us. My grandfather who passed away, he sort of helped us out a lot financially and stuff like that.
Right.
I guess there's a fair bit to it to sort of pinpoint one.
Feel free to feel free to take us through and on that journey.
I guess, look, more or less surviving it was, it's what are you going to do? You just got to keep going on and on. You know what I mean? You sort of don't really know it at the time when you're young. It's what your normal is. So you don't realise it's not normal until you become older and you look back and go, shit, that wasn't normal.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, But, you sort of start thinking, well, something's wrong there. But I guess when you think it's normal, I guess it just works at the time, and you don't until later on. Now you start realizing you start having some problems with your anger and all that, you realise that you kind of were wired a little bit different to survive when you were a bit younger in that sort of environment,
Yeah.
I guess, if that if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, man.
Wow.
It does, mate. It does, and I appreciate you sharing that because, for those like myself, and I'm going to speak for Brian Hill who haven't been through that. We don't know what that's like, and so it would be interesting, but there at the same time there will be a number of people that have been through that can resonate and connect with that and go far out. Yeah, I thought that was just normal. Like I thought everybody's family was like that, but then as you mentioned, as you get older, you start to realize that, man, hang on, this stuff isn't normal. It's having a negative impact and something needs to change, or where those terms around break the cycle and stuff comes into play and that sort of thing. So I guess for you, because it's quite interesting, your mum was Jehovah's Witness, but your father, did he have any sort of religion?
No, that's the bizarre thing about this whole paradigm was my
Yeah.
mum and my dad. Well, I mean, I would say it was a chance meet up. I mean, by the dynamics of everything, yeah, it seems as though that would be the case. So I don't think she was, from memory, I don't think she was Jehovah's Witness when they met. And then I think after
Oh, okay. Yeah.
she became a Jehovah's Witness. And
Gotcha.
look, I'm not
Yeah.
prejudicial or anything like that. And like I could quite
Yep.
easily be prejudicial due to my circumstances, having had the past with that religion, but I'm not. I just want to be very clear whenever I say something in regards to that, because I don't want to. I'm not that sort of person. I'm pretty understanding of other people's
Yeah.
beliefs.
Yeah.
So it's really important that I say
Yeah.
it off the bat. But I guess the paradigm existed that there was chalk and cheese essentially. Like you got two different worlds. You got one guy and one woman that sort of they have a connection there where they love each other, but they sort of ended up sort of veering off certain different paths. And I think stress
Yeah.
and workload, family stress has a lot to do with it. You sort of drift apart in that family unit when you've got a lot of stress applied through those early stages of having children. And I think that's maybe what happened somewhat. And so mum was mum must have went to Jehovah's Witness faith, and my dad started working hard, and I guess it was all the rage back in the 80s. Everyone was sort of doing it, heroin and all that. It was really going through the whole east coast of Australia, and you'd be hard pressed to find. It'd be half the population, I think it went through. So those 80s children sort of know what's up a lot in Australia. So I guess with that, the heroin use and the Jehovah's Witness, there was one set of rules sort of around dad, and then there was one set of rules sort of around mum, like it was a bit more like I used to love guns and fighting and all that sort of stuff, but mum was Jehovah's the conservative, and then you know what I mean.
Sorry,
So
it broke up a little bit
it
there,
was sort
Brett.
of kind of two worlds going on in the head
Yeah.
a lot of the time, and
Gotcha.
antagonistic sort of parenting, I think.
Yeah, man, that must have been hard. And so, can I just ask, Brett, was it just how many siblings did you have? Was it just your brother? Was it you and your brother?
Yeah,
or did you have sisters as well,
I've
or
got one
other
sister,
brothers?
and I had a brother. My sister is 2 years younger than me. We care for her child now,
Right.
but so it was me. It was basically me and my sister while my mum and dad were together. She was very young, and then when my mum and dad split, my brother was sort of born just around that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. And so you're the oldest, then your sister, then your brother. Is that how it goes?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, my brother was born in 80.
And so
So
right.
that makes
Okay.
him 6 years younger. I think 6 years. Yeah.
Man. And can I ask, Brett, whereabouts, because I want to skip forward a little bit to still within the family context of your situation, where were you when you found out about the loss of your brother?
Yeah, I knew you'd ask this. And it's one of those things because it's like, around 20 years ago, 20 years ago, next year, it'll be 20 years. So it's 19 years. And you don't forget it. You'll never forget it. I remember I was working down in Ballina with a friend of mine, Rocket. His name is Concreter. It was in the morning. I got a phone call on his phone because I didn't have a phone. It was the Nokias back then.
Right.
And they got a phone call on his phone, and he said, "Oh, mate, you got to come and take this call, eh?" And it was me mum, and me mum just said, "Brett, you're not going to believe it. Billy's killed himself." And that was it. And I just pegged his phone, smashed his phone on the ground, and just pretty much just cracked the shits pretty hard, and I'm pretty upset, and
I bet.
that's where I was, and Oh, guys, sorry.
No, that's all right, mate. Yeah, it dropped out.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right.
And hopefully no one calls me. I've got no Wi-Fi here, so I do apologise.
Oh, no worries. That's all right. That's all right.
All good.
I was asking. I was asking what the distance was like and time frame for you to be able to get back home to mum, to your sister, to your dad, and obviously to Billy, but he had already passed. How long did you just after pegging the phone and then processing that?
So this was some time ago after. So there's a lot of stuff between then to the point where I hardly even talked to my dad at that point.
Yeah.
Up until that point, my sister, I still was on terms, on terms with her, but I basically got in the car and I got one of the blokes on site to drive me up to from Ballina to the Gold Coast City Hospital where he was, to obviously identify him and just obviously say final farewells and all the rest. And but the question was, I didn't really see my mum. My mum was pretty distraught, as you can imagine. Until later, I had a friend of mine drive me up there. I seen him. I went into the room where they have him sort of there, and you just like it's not a great thing to see, I guess. Sort of something you never forget, I guess, as well. It's just, I guess there's a lot of descriptive words, but I won't go into the description of. I guess one thing I will say is people like a lot of the time say, "Oh, you've got to talk about it," and sometimes I think it can be counterproductive in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
They had a guy there ready to go to talk to me. Like, it was like he was kind of just pressing to talk to me. I was like, "Man, fuck off. I don't want to fucking talk to you." Like, what's there to talk about, man? I think you're asking a bit much right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, so there was a guy there, and I just like, "Nah, man, So I think that was the point where I really spat the dummy sort of at the world. After that.
Yeah.
I really did.
I like how you've mentioned that point, because I think that's true. I heard this from, I forget the gentleman's name, but he was a former Australian police officer. Actually said there's time, place, and circumstance were the key phrases that he used, and the right time, the right place, and the right circumstance. And it's not always like you said. I could only imagine, and would hate to go through and imagine and feel that everything that would have been happening for you. And so, definitely not the right time, place, or circumstance to want to, hey mate, you want to sit down and have a chat with me about this? So respect to you with regards to being able to control yourself enough, because I don't imagine that would have been easy when you got somebody pressing to try to speak with you.
The bloke was in a wheelchair, so
yeah, right.
the bloke was in a wheelchair, so, but I mean, like, the bloke probably had a fair thing to say too in hindsight. Like, here's a guy, he's obviously got challenges of his own, and he probably came from a good place, don't get me wrong, but it just too much to process at the time.
Fair enough. No, absolutely. Man, I appreciate you speaking about and touching on some of these, and we're not going to look to try to push and pry too much. I think that paints enough of a picture in terms of those contexts, and you feel free to speak about anything else as you like. But what I want to move on to is probably more about how did you meet your sweetheart Bianca? Give us the true version about how it went down and how she asked you out and all that sort of stuff.
This is how she asked me.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Watching, darling, you'll be watching this. That's it. Yeah, for sure.
And then we'll get her on later.
Yeah, that's payback. You know what? You're probably not going to believe the story about how we met.
Go on, tell us.
I was over in Hawaii. I was surfing over in Hawaii I think it was a 2004 season.
Wow.
Or maybe it was the 2005 season. And her brother's quite a good surfer, Jared Sullivan. He was really good, still is. Anyway, I was over there and he asked me I was coming back before him. He asked me to take some surfboards back of his because he was in Byron Bay, same town. So I said, yeah, no worries. Took them back and he gave me his number to contact once I was back in country with the boards and all the rest. And so anyway, I've contacted him, got his boards back to him. Anyway, a couple of months later, I was out and at a mate's wife's do, like 21st, I think it was. And then I met a girl and I was talking to her and all the rest. And I said, oh yeah, well, how about, I grab your number. So I put her number into my phone and his number came up. And I said, you're taking the piss. Like, that's not your number. That's somebody else's number. I've already got it. And she goes, no, that's my number. I said, is your brother Jared Sullivan? And she said, yeah, he is. So he'd given her the phone, so right. I had her number in my phone. So
far out, hard case. And how was Jared about it all? He must have been all right, eh?
Yeah, well, I didn't see him for quite some time, and I guess nobody really likes it when you're taking their sister out, if you know.
That's why I asked that question. I wanted to see that. Was there any more requests for you to take his boards or all that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, the request come thick and fast after that. Do that. No.
Or did you notice any dodgy stuff happening in the waves after that?
You
surfing together.
Priority all day. Priority. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool story. And so, who popped the question, or how did you pop the question? Sorry, to Bianca.
Yeah, I was training down at a gym. We had a gym. We used to train at Scorpion Gym, which is 5 rings just on the Gold Coast. Right. Pretty reputable gym. Some good fighters went through there. And I just got down on one knee.
In the gym?
In front of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the gym,
nice.
In our gym clothes and all that. And, just had a mock-up sort of ring at the time. And, just did it a bit off the cuff a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. And,
wow.
Just proposed her in front of the crew, and it seemed appropriate at the time too. So, yeah.
Beautiful, man. Awesome. And she obviously said yes straight away. Did she cry? Did she tear up in the front of the class?
She did actually. Yep.
Beautiful,
she
man.
Does that.
We'll get the rebuttal
awesome.
later.
Yeah. That's cool. And children-wise, how old are your children, if you don't mind, Brett? Like, what's the oldest and the youngest? Obviously, including the 5th one as well with your sisters, because you've had your sister's baby since birth, right?
Yeah. So the oldest ones are, I've got my daughter Indra, she's 10. My son Andaman, he's 8. He's the oldest boy.
Right.
Talon's 7. He's the 3rd. Our youngest in our our is Tallulah. She's 4, and Minnie, my sister's daughter, she's 4 as well.
Oh, beautiful, man! Awesome.
Gotcha. I honestly don't know what's going on with this. I do apologise.
It's fine.
That's all right. I think it may just be the connection. Are you running hotspot or something from your phone?
Mate, that's what I've got. Sorry.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, that's all right. That's all good. Let's we'll
Well,
keep powering
what we
on.
got.
Yeah, that's it. We work with what we've got: improvise, adapt, overcome, all that good stuff. So
Yes, yes.
we'll keep going along. And I was so you were saying, yeah, they pretty much they are quite they run a bit of a muck by the sounds of things. The children.
Oh, no. Yeah, they beat the shit out of each other. But it's it's pretty harmless. And I've got them into martial arts now. I get them down to
Yeah,
BJJ, Barra, just
nice.
Barra up the road
Yeah.
here, and, Surface Paradise, and they've really taken to it. And there's a lot of discipline with the martial arts, so
Mm,
it's really good for them. It's quite grounding, and they know the rules. They don't want to get on the wrong side of Professor Gee. That's our professor there. So
nice.
you can sort of use that as a bit of leverage at home as well now. So it's quite handy.
That's awesome. And so actually, can you just shout out your club again where you're training?
Yeah, Gracie Barra at Surface Paradise under Professor Guy Tristini. He's
Beautiful.
first Dan black belt, just an amazing professor and a real enthusiast. I really like people that are really into what they do. Like if you do something, you're just so in depthly
Good
into
call
it.
out.
I just love that. It's a good
Awesome.
quality.
And I like how you've mentioned that there. How did you come about to was that something that was always on the cards that you were going to get into BJJ, or is that something that just popped up all of a sudden?
Yeah, no, look, I wasn't big on wrestling with sweaty men for a while, for quite some time. It wasn't look, it really wasn't me. It's like you get some
Yeah.
balls on your face at one point or whatever. It's not ideal. We both know that, but I mean, it's a means to an end, isn't it? As long as people are wearing, aftershave or some deodorant and all the rest of it, it becomes a more pleasant experience. But uh, it's a natural progression from like Muay Thai with the fight sports. You can only get punched in the head so many times,
Yeah.
but I still love combat.
Yeah.
Like I love battle. Not your type of battle, but do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
just that, yeah, just getting in there, and I just love it. But you can only take, as I said, so many hits to the head before you're screwed.
Yeah. And so did it come about? Did a friend tell you about it, or did you just happen to be walking past your professor's gym, or
Yeah, a great friend of mine at the gym where I train at Good Life just over in Bundle there, and he's a
nice?
trainer there, and he just put me onto it. I I had hassles with these idiots a little bit ago, and three of them sort of jumped me and all the rest of it. I ended up on the ground, and
Right.
I was like, oh shit! And there was three of them, and I was on the ground, and I was like, shit, I got to do something about
Mm,
my ground
mm.
game here
Yeah.
because I was getting towed up on the ground. So I
Yeah.
mean, being the pragmatist that I am, the rest is history.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Do, do you find that? Do you find that if you reflect back on your skill set, the martial arts skill set, do you think you're a lot more rounded now? So you've got a ground game that goes with your up fighting, your hands and your arms, your Muay Thai. Do you feel now that you feel a little bit more rounded in your approach? So if you did end up on the ground for some reason, you instinctively know what to do.
Oh, 100%. The ground game is just absolutely essential. Like
Mm.
Mm.
with, I mean, if you do have any sort of someone does, you get accosted by someone or whatever happens. A lot of times you'll end up on the ground at some point if
Yeah.
things circumstance, and you've got to. There's a whole way. Like if someone can simply just pin you and just beat the shit out of you on the ground, if you don't know anything to do, like it's not hard if they've got a little bit more weight on you or something like that. But I think
Mm.
definitely the paradigm exists with BJJ that you can really turn the tables and use their weight against them, even on the ground more so. Like it's a really comfortable place for me now. Even only been there for a few months, I wasn't so comfortable on the ground because of
Wow.
the stand up, but yeah, definitely now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Because you see that a lot now in the UFC, right? A lot of those UFC fighters they have a degree of efficiency in the game, on the ground. Sorry, and you got somebody like Israel who's Adesanya, sorry,
Yes.
the middleweight champion, and but I think no, I'm trying to remember correctly, but I think he does feel a lot more comfortable up, but he can take somebody down, and
Yeah.
I guess give him a more rounded. What are your thoughts on some of the things that you see, like a few UFC, if you follow the UFC fighting?
Yeah. I haven't been a huge fan of UFC for
Mm,
like there's a few reasons why I haven't watched a lot of it. I am starting to watch more now that I am involved more on the ground.
Yep.
It's a lot to do with the respect and just the whole just the whole thing. Like Muay Thai just seemed a lot more spiritual, if that makes sense for me. And it
mm,
was like while it's barbaric, there's a real spiritual side to it. And I sort of wasn't feeling that with MMA, and I wasn't really following it due to that paradigm. But I guess yeah. Sorry, that was that the question. Sorry, what was the question? Did I just go off on a
oh,
tangent?
no. No, that's fine. It was just just wondering if your thoughts on UFC and whether you do watch that. And I think you've answered it quite
Yeah,
nicely. It's just um, your it's not just two blokes having a bash. You know, there's a whole art around it.
yeah,
And from what I heard as well, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, is now you start to watch a little bit more UFC, you can see the nuances because you have an understanding the ground game or what's happening, respectful of the fighters, of course, but missing that, I guess, that spiritual aspect for you, the stuff that really binds it together. Would that be? Will I be close to the mark?
absolutely. I think though, in fairness, from
Mm,
what I have been watching now, I think that a lot more. Like I think that it's changed. I think there is a lot more respect, and it's got a lot more professional, and the way people are conducting themselves. You know, like some of these high level guys, like you look at, just the respect levels like Khabib and those sort of guys like
Mm.
that. You just got to. They just
mm,
they've done massive things for the sport and its image. I believe, like not to say I don't know who am I, but I mean, I guess for me, just personally, my personal thoughts are
yeah.
that I feel like that's coming into it a lot more. But maybe it's leaving international Muay Thai a little bit, So
Mm.
yeah, it's a crazy world, isn't it?
I reckon.
That's
I like how you've spoken about those, and I guess it just ties into for this next question for me is who is your favorite, or who was or who still is maybe your favorite Muay Thai fighter?
Oh, yeah,
Did
that's
you
a
have
good one.
did you have a favorite
Yeah, I think I
or a
did.
few? Yeah.
Yeah, like if it was going to be in Australia, I'd
Yep.
probably have to say Toby Smith. Toby Smith,
Yeah.
he's
Right.
just like he's a young guy. He's just
Mm.
a weapon. Well, they
Yeah.
call him the weapon, don't they? I
Yep.
just love the way he fights. And his old man's a legend, Blair Smith. If it's going to be international, I'd say Sanchai. Sanchai'd have to be.
Sanchai.
Um,
Wow.
Sanchai, but if it's going to be like just what they stand for, like an international fighter, like their spirituality and what
Mm.
they're not probably technically the best, but just the best. I'd have to say Kevin Ross, the Soul Assassin from the States.
Kevin
Um,
Ross. Right.
yeah, he's just a real good guy, and just a great ambassador for life, I guess. He's been on the Rogan podcast a couple of
Wow.
times, and he's a good friend of mine as well. So
Oh,
just
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I actually
Nice.
asked him for advice. I said, "What do you reckon? How do I do this when I go on this podcast?"
What did he? Actually, great point. What did he say? What advice did Kevin give you?
Sweet.
Just be you, man. Just be honest, and
Excellent.
yeah,
Great
yeah.
advice. Yeah, that is
Nice.
really great to hear. And shout out Kevin Ross. Thanks for giving our man Brett Whitton that advice, because that's all we want. We just want people to be themselves like you are and speak the way that you're comfortable speaking, as we mentioned. And I appreciate you
Mm.
both, Brian and I appreciate you, Brett, mentioning being kind. I say, a few swear words might come out every now and then. That's fine. I mean, some
Yeah.
people will either want to listen to it. We'll just put a language warning on there for some of the listeners and that sort of thing. And if they, people will either listen or they won't. And that's up to them. But we're not here to.
I'll keep the C bombs under wraps. I'll keep them under. That's going to be
Yeah.
hard work, too, by the way.
I can imagine, and I that people that are listening here, I know that will be hard work. But you're doing well. You're doing
Who is
well.
this?
All right. I want to jump into and ask you about this professional surfing. How old were you when you were traveling the world and surfing competitively? What age were you?
Yeah. Okay. So I started when I was quite young, about 10. Going in sort of local comps and all the rest.
Yeah.
Surfing against the likes of like I was never professional. I just want to be clear. So I was never a professional surfer on the
Right.
tour or anything like that. I was a free surfer, recreational surfer, and I just went and rubbed shoulders and travelled around and tried to be. If I'm going to be honest, I tried to be. But
That's awesome.
I started when I was 10, and I used to surf against guys like Mick and Mick Fanning and Dino
Mick Fanning.
and
Wow.
Marco and all those guys, in the local comps and that. And that was, those guys were always good. Dean Morrison was always the best out of the lot.
Wow.
But, I just used to surf against all them in the local titles and all the rest of it up until I was about 16. And then I was a little bit, because of all my circumstance when I was younger,
Yeah.
I had a bit of head noise and all that, and I sort of fell off the rails a bit. And I got sent out one day in the wrong colour jersey or something, and they didn't score me. It was for a big one to go the Aussie titles or whatever, and I cracked the shits. And I come in, I punched the window on the caravan on the beach. And I cracked the shits big time, didn't they? And they banned me. They said, "No, you're banned, mate. You're banned." So
Can't come back. Far out.
no, I got from the young competitor thing, and then and I sort of walked away from it, sort of that sort of side of it for quite some time, and then obviously joined the army, and then left the army, and then got out, and then took it back up again, as a bit of a release, and just went sort of pursuing the bigger stuff over in Hawaii and Chopu and all the rest.
Man. Yeah. And so with your surfing, I noticed as well you made some appearances in some magazines. Is that right? I've got a couple of photos.
Yeah, it was good. I think it was. I think people just see me trying so hard, so they thought, "Give me a run." That effort rewarded, I don't think I was much. I was all right, but I wasn't much good. Yeah, but
there's some couple of pretty styling photos there of you and the waves and that there. So we'll make sure that those get added into this podcast as we're going along.
Absolutely.
But that's cool, man. That's really great to hear. But there's one story as well that I wanted you to speak about, if you wouldn't mind. There was an old surfer's house around the area where you were growing up, and you just went off and chilled and stayed there with this older surfer for a while. Didn't tell your mum or anybody for about 3 days. What's the story there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because you're 10? You're 10 at that age, at that time, or 11?
Yeah, around that age. I don't remember exactly. A lot of it's a bit hazy at this age, because you got to remember, I was drinking, getting pissed at 10, smoking dope at 10.
Right.
I was a bad little seed when I was young. I was just rebellious, as fuck. And anyway, I went surfing one day, and so the rip tide takes you down the beach. So I've drifted down the beach, haven't I? About a K or so down the beach. Anyway, I seen this bloke out there, Joel Walker, his name was, and anyway, not many people were doing airs at that time, so he's just popped out of this wave and done this air. Hasn't made it, just got air and just fell off. Like, no big deal. But I've just seen him do an air, and it's like, oh, no way, he's done an air. Anyway, the bloke's paddled back out. It was just sort of me and him, and a few people scattered along the beach. He's paddled back out, and I've gone, oh, that was awesome, man. Like, just fucking in awe. And he's gone, oh, Gromit, yeah. Like, it would have been a bit 19 or something, this bloke. And I've gone, just like talking to him, going wave for wave and just hanging with him. And, and then he goes, oh, yeah, I'm going in. I said, oh, yeah, sweet. He goes, oh, yeah, you want to come into mine? And I said, yeah, sweet. So I went in. This is a K up the beach. So I've gone in with him, and we've gone back to his house. I'm 10. Anyway, we're hanging around. He's knocking us up a feed. We're just hanging, chilling out. And gets a bit later, doesn't it? We go and check the surf a bit later, and still just going back. Then we just go back to his again. Still just in me boardies and in me shorts after surfing. Got a towel off him and all that. But Anyway, just gone back there and just chilling. Anyway, it starts getting dark. So I'm just there. I'm still just hanging. And, then they're like, oh, yeah, we'll go. And so then the bong comes out, doesn't it? So they start smoking bongs and all that. And they don't have any bongs, though, do they? Fucking broke. They're broke. They've got no money. So no bongs. So they're smoking tobacco. So they're doing the tobacco. They're smoking the tobacco cones, and I'm going. Then they're going, they thought it was the funniest thing in the fucking world. Oh, let's give the grommet one. Let's give the grommet one. So they give me a fucking tobacco cone, don't they? And I'm just fucking head spinning. I was like and then I'm just head spinning off my tree, like, and then I've just laid down and passed out, and got sick and just laid down and passed out. Before you know it, it's like 10 in the night, and they're all around me in the room, the lights on, and they're all got the bong out of end, just laughing, looking at me, and I'm waking up, and I'm going, oh. Anyway, night goes on there. We're just running around all night trying to score dope, and I'm just there, and we end up going riding, trying to score dope and all that shit. Come back, and same thing, went surfing the next morning, back there, just hanging. Never did it cross their mind that I should probably go home and tell parents where I fucking am. And I've still got a problem with them over this. Hey, I really didn't like how they did this. But then so I was there for 3 days. Mum had before I just went. I sort of just went. I don't feel like being here anymore. I'm going home. So it wasn't. I was worried. It was like I don't feel like being here. I'm going home.
Gotcha.
So then I just went home. And then Mum come out. I walked through the yard, and Mum come out crying with a photo of me, like meeting me halfway in the yard, just like losing it. I'm going, fuck, what's the problem? And anyway, back inside, grounded forever, and cops came around, gave me a good talking to. Cops came around and said, mate, you can't just fucking go. You got to tell people where you're going, mate. Or, I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Far out. And those guys that you were with, how many of them? And they were 19, 20?
Around that age, because they had their own place. So, Dominic and Joel. Dominic and Joel, that was their name, yeah.
Dominic and Joel. What the bloody hell?
They're on notice.
What were you thinking?
They're on notice. They've been on notice.
They're on notice, yeah. Crack up. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad that all worked out well. I know your mum was as well. What did your dad have to say about that, mate?
Well, he wasn't around, so
okay.
Like we missed a bit of that story through the guts of it there, but that's cool. We've only got so long too, But I had nothing to do with him, really. To be honest, I have had things to do with him, but there's a lot of dark history with him, and like he took me away from my mum. Well, he did similar. He took me away from my mum, wouldn't let me go home, like kidnapped me pretty much, from my mum. So I got a lot of resentment towards him. He beat shit out of me, like flogged piss through me when I was 16, So just a lot of there's a lot of resentment there, and there's like still this day, I'm not going to lie. People say you got to love your family, love your mum and dad. Bullshit. If someone's a fucking arsehole to you, then you don't have to take that behaviour, and you don't have to be friends with. I don't believe you don't have to be friends with them or associate with them if they've treated you that way. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And like I agree with the comments that you mentioned there. Do you think that there may come a time where if your father reached out to you and wanted to try to make amends, or maybe he has, I don't know. Has your father tried to do that with you?
Yeah, a heap of times. A lot of times it's been too little, too late. It's a hard one because it's sort of hard to explain, but it isn't. I can sort of, without diving right into it, I can sort of give you guys without saying the exact details, because it could somewhat incriminate me a little bit, sort of thing. Like I wouldn't want to, what I mean? Or
don't worry about incriminating yourself. Yeah, no need to. Yeah,
no, I won't. But the long and the shorts of it is that he was given the opportunity to make somewhat of an amends due to the circumstance with my sister and all the rest of it, but he chose not to. And for me, that was just a flat no. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
here you go, all right, okay. Someone's taking advantage of your daughter. Okay, here's your chance, mate. You want to be a father? Here's your chance, right? So chose not to. So for
Chose
me,
not
it's
to.
just
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you guys. I promised you I would be,
Yeah.
without going too far into it. So I just
Yeah.
said, no, that's it, mate. You know, you've had your chance now. So
Yeah.
yeah, does
Fair
that make
enough.
enough sense to
It
not
does.
go for?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah,
It
it
does,
does.
mate. Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm wondering, Brett, if that do you think that experience that you have with your dad drives you to be the opposite? Because what I see, like in some of you, like a lot of your Instagram photos, particularly with your kids, man, I tell you what,
Warms the heart,
the
eh?
picture you paint, yeah, and what I see is like, man, that's night and day. I see a loving dad that really is there for their kids and so forth. Do you think the experience that you've had has really wanted you to be not like that? Do you think?
Yeah, well picked up, that man. That's that's me 101. All I really do care about now in this world is just my family.
Mm,
What do you got? You realize once you
beautiful.
lose it all, and you lose some of the things that are most dear to you. You just all the noise, all the other shit. You just go, yeah, no, I don't care about it anymore. You've just got to sort of do the right thing for them, I guess.
Awesome.
Mm,
Awesome.
nice,
Thanks
beautiful.
for that, Brett. I wanted to ask you and move on from those in terms of the Muay Thai fighting. What was the catalyst for that? I know you've always enjoyed, like I said, the competing and that, I guess, the confrontation and the sport and the athleticism and the skill and all that sort of stuff that's involved with it. When did that start for you? When did you look at that and go, far out, I want to do that?
Yeah, I actually didn't want to do Muay Thai when I went to the gym at first.
Right.
Again, a lot of my motivations as to do things with fitness, strength
Yeah.
training, martial arts has
Mm,
been like a thorn in the side. Like I've got a hiding of something or someone or something's happened, and
Yeah.
I've had to be strong or I've had to do this. So I've
Gotcha.
always just had someone carrot or the stick. It's always been the stick for me. It's always been like, yep, you better do something or you're going to get a hiding. So I got touched up a while back. I got touched up big time by this gang down at down where I'm from, and
Yeah.
I just remember everybody around me, everyone I know. I was sticking up for a bloke, and everyone I know was standing around shit scared of these blokes. And there was like only about 5 of them, and there was like 30 or more people, my mates,
Yeah.
supposed mates, and I was just fighting all 5 of them by myself, and I'll get flogged.
yeah.
And then the cavalry arrived and came and cleaned them out. But then I just thought after that, I thought, fuck, I'm gonna have to learn how to fight here. I'm gonna have to learn how to seriously learn how to fight properly, because if this happens, I could have died that day
Yeah.
easily. I could have died, and that was a
Mm,
wake up for me. And then, so I went to the gym, and I was going to do MMA, wasn't I? I thought I was watching. This is the new thing back then. 2012 it was roughly. 2008 I think I started. And it was MMA everywhere, and so I went to the gym and I started. A friend introduced me there, and I thought I was going to do MMA, but I just went. We were doing Muay Thai, and so that was it. I was doing Muay Thai. I
Right.
was told I was doing Muay Thai,
All
and that
right.
was it.
And how many years? Because you've done it for what? Well over 10 years? The Muay Thai and the
Yeah,
fighting?
yeah, probably around now. Probably around 14. All up
Wow.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
long time. And I guess
yeah.
that leads into my next question that I've got for you. What has your time and experience in the ring, out of the ring, training, all that sort of stuff with regards to fighting, what has that taught you, or what have been some of the lessons that you've learnt through that
mm,
process of fighting professionally, fighting as an amateur in that as well, fighting on the street with the stuff that's happened in the past, which has been some of the catalysts to go, man, I need to do something here. What have you discovered or learnt about yourself and or maybe in others? And what are those lessons that you try to apply and continue to use?
Yeah, definitely one that comes to mind, and you can forget it easily when you drink and piss and all the rest of it. Is just be humble. there's always someone who's fucking better than you. And as soon as you let yourself get better of yourself, you watch someone will come along and knock you off your supposed perch. That was one good lesson.
Nice.
Always, you can. The biggest lessons about myself and is just the overcoming, like the injury, overcoming injury, just things that I just I just never would have thought I never would have thought when I broke my jaw, for instance. I broke my jaw, oblique fractures for the second time, here and here. I got a plate there, plate there, plate there, plate there. And I've had 4 surgeries on my nose, but coming back from those injuries and just thinking, fuck, I don't know, I think I'm done this time. But coming back and just going, fucking, here we go,
I'm back again. Yeah,
I'm back. So I surprise myself, man. Like I'm just going, fucking, what's wrong with you? You're okay, yeah, good, okay, I'm back. Let's go. But awesome. Yeah, I mean, just those lessons of overcoming, that the mental strength that I've gained, that's probably the best thing I've gained.
Nice. I like those. The humility, the overcoming mental strength, good points, and really applicable for any of our listeners that might be taking the time to hear some of your incredible story. I want to shift a little bit from the fighting and come into the military side of things for you, Brett, and ask, why did you join the army? What was your driver for wanting to do that? Was it just something that popped up last minute, or was it again did you see the movie Commando or something and then decide that's what I want to do? Why did you join the army?
Snake Plissken done it for me. Snake Plissken. Yeah, remember that? Taking over LA or something? That was it.
Is that Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, yeah.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
Kurt Russell. I think I did because I think in my message to you with our texts that we sent with all the copy and all that, I told you about because obviously when you start taking drugs and alcohol, when you're young, there's going to be a cause and effect. It's a developing mind. And I got to about 17 and I'd completely flipped my biscuit. I lost my mind and started hearing voices and all that sort of shit when I was 17. And I had to get fucking locked away in a room. Mum had to lock me away in a room for about 3 months before I come good. Really just locked away from the world. I just fucking flipped it, eh? And I didn't know what was going on. It was really bizarre. It was a really frightening time in my life. And that was when I was 17. And I sort of recovered from that. And I got really, I was 18 actually, and I got really motivated after I sort of made my recovery because I was clean, not drinking, not doing anything really. Yep. I started drinking again though, mind you, but not smoking dope. The dope really knocked me around in the head, and that's why I started getting the voices in my head and that. So I ended up getting really motivated and fucking applying to join the army. So I applied to join the army, and and they fucking accepted me. I couldn't believe it. They mustn't have much intel on the condition of people's bike records back then. They fucking let me in, didn't they? And I've gone, oh yeah, you beauty, so I'm in. Anyway, you got to go to the day inauguration to get in. You do the tests and all that. So you got to write the psych. You got to write your thing to the psych and tell them if you got any issues and whatever. So I've fucking told them, haven't I? I've told them about my past, but I didn't tell them I lost my mind. I kept that one under past. Big mistake. You don't tell face psychs anything. So I've told them everything. And anyway, they've got me in there and they're talking to me. The lady psych, I remember she was talking to me saying, mate, there's a lot here. You're a bit of a risk, if we're going to be honest. And they went and they molded over for a bit, for want of a better analogy, molded over. And they come back to me and they said, "Oh, look, we're gonna take a chance on you," and they fucking let me in. So they let me in. So that was it. I got in. Went to IETs, went to Kapurka, then I met you in IETs. Yeah. And the professional, the Ducks Nuts professional through the IETs you had to go through. It was from there, I just went. I went through IETs, and they posted us straight to 4, didn't they?
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
man. Awesome. And then you mentioned something as well with your service and stuff like that
Yeah.
around, because a few people, I had a few friends that had Lariam issues. So you remember that when we were deployed to Timor and that sort of stuff. I used Doxy just because I already knew about it, and I thought, well, it's 1 pill a day versus Lariam. How often? What was it? 1 pill a week or something?
Yeah, so it was a loading dose before you went,
Right.
and then you just once you load, they loaded you up. I don't know exact dosing. There's
Yeah,
people
I
in
can't
there
remember it either.
pursuing it, and because there's been the injuries, brain injuries, and all the rest. I mean, I haven't pursued that because, like, as you can tell, like, how would I even know if any issues I have were due to Lariam or just life itself, mate? How could I point? Like, come on, let's be honest here. So that's why I haven't gone down that road at all. I'm not blaming any.
Gotcha.
I don't blame anything. I blame myself. More than anything, which is probably not ideal. But with that, we got posted straight to 4, and we went straight on ops with 4th Battalion. I went to Charlie Company, 3-1 Bravo with Mick Craig was our secco. Mick Craig, the late Mick Craig, legend, and he broke his leg in the first month odd, and so we sort of got a little, as you know, like we got a little bit as Jubes going into that unit, got a bit of a rough time, and people weren't real thrilled to see you there if you were, you're a Jubist, march into that unit and haven't done time in the battalion, etc.
Yeah.
So it wasn't pleasant. I wasn't super popular there in the end, I don't think, and that's being honest. But I don't hold any grudges to anyone. I just all just great men. I'm just honoured to have served with, to be honest, and
Awesome.
and likewise yourself. But we went over, and I had some issues with the Lariam when I was in country there.
Did you switch? Did you switch from Lariam to Doxy when you noticed that started to happen for you?
Yeah, so I got taken off the program, off the study, because I had real issues with, like, I had proper issues with sleeping and those vivid dreams. One night woke up, Damo McMahon, our boss, he was walking to
Officer.
the pisser. Yeah.
I remember Damo. Yeah.
Yeah, he was walking to the pisser one night, and I was in the farter, gonked out, and then apparently I was briefed up in the morning that I'd woke up, pointed the gun at him, told him to stop or I'll shoot, while he was on his way,
Really?
on his way to the toilet. I didn't know anything about it. So in the morning, the boys told me all about it. Glenn Folkard told me all about it in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and he told me, he said, "Do you remember what you did last night?" And I said, "No, what happened?" I thought they were taking the piss, and and then I went and seen the psych and all the rest of it, and they took me off it, and I had issues. Like I just had issues with it after that. I think it's a lot to do with me having had the issues, previous mental health with when I was younger, 18 or what. But I started having that, like, stuff playing up in my head a bit and getting really paranoid and get, like, just real disassociating from people in the section too. Could have been, the rigors of deployment, even though it wasn't a high tempo deployment or anything, but it could have been that as well. I think it's just a compounding factor. But I sort of proper went real weird. And then we ended up coming back to country after that, and then they wanted to boot me out, and obviously I was playing up a little bit, and they wanted to boot me out, and then I ended up, Troy Park took me in up at the gym, and to show cause so that I could sort of stay. I was thinking of staying, and so they were going to take me on as a PDI, and then they ended up accepting my show cause and letting me stay and put me on PDI course down in Cerberus. So all the while, though, this is the circumstance of why I left, because I went AWOL. I effectively went AWOL, and like the CO, Colonel DeSoma, he sort of vouched for me. which I think he was pretty dirty on in the end. But I mean, I had to do what I had to do in the end. But I had a lot of issues with my family going back and forth. I had some with my brother, more or less. See, this is just before he killed himself. I was down in Cerberus, and he was just playing up because he got a bit of money inheritance wise from my grandfather who died, and he just like mum wasn't giving it to him, and he just cracked the shits big time and just started being a real prick to mum and just trying to bully her and all the rest. And I got in his ear and I just said, mate, you better pull your head in or I'm coming up to give you a flogging.
Yeah.
I did. I still regret it to this day saying that to him, to be honest. But that's what I said. And then, he sort of still kept persisting. And then it was just a lot of stuff in my head and I just still wasn't right. And I wasn't right after that deployment. And I just didn't have my heart in it after that. And they sent me to Cerberus and I just I just wasn't getting on with people at all. Like, I just couldn't be with people. I just wasn't a team player anymore. I just was just bad like that. And then we just had a fallout with a few. And I just went, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out. And just got all my shit packed up, drove from Vico back up this way, and just left. Right. And left all my shit there and just left. And then they hunted around for me for a few months and all the rest of it, and never found me. But and that was how I left.
Wow. But it's I'm really, really grateful that you've shared that with Brian and I, Brett, for a couple of reasons. And one of the main ones that stands out is that, one, there would be people from the unit that would have their own version of, this is what happened, he was this and he was that. So this here, you speaking to that helps to clarify that from our side. But also the other piece that really stands out to me is how you just never know all the circumstances relating to an individual's story, the processes that they're having to deal with, the things that they've gone through or that they're currently going through or that are potentially coming up. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there that you've, without needing to go into all the detail, you've helped clarify for people that, that would likely still remember you and all that sort of thing, and be able to hear it from the horse's mouth rather than hearing it from second, third, fourth hand experiences from other people that haven't lived it, that haven't been through that. So really just wanted to acknowledge you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for sharing that, Brett. That's awesome, mate.
I'm not proud. I just want to say, it's what I'm really not proud of. I'm really not proud of leaving like that. Yeah. And it is a dishonourable way to go. And I totally get it if people, have passed that judgment. I get it. If you were me and you're in my head, maybe you'd understand, but maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. But I'm just past that point now where I just don't give two fucks what anyone really thinks. If they think that way and they want to assess me on those demerits, that's fine. I mean, I've got no power over that, but I know that I have a lot to offer in other areas, and that I never will pretend to be something I'm not, and I probably never would have lasted too much longer given the circumstances, So I had to do what I had to do at the time, and if I had my time again, I'd do it again. So that's where I'll say that,
Yeah, awesome. No, thanks, Brett. Thanks for clarifying that and speaking to that. So raw, these experiences, and authentic and difficult. They're not easy things for anybody to relive and to talk about and share. But mate, you're doing a fantastic job. So I don't know what you were worried about being nervous coming on the podcast. Thinking,
I'm nervous.
Natural.
Yeah. Man, there's a few more things that I want to ask you about. I want to get into this marathon running, bro. So this 50-kilometer marathon under 4 hours. That's your top time or best time to date so far.
That's the furthest I've run.
Furthest you've run.
That's the furthest I've run ever. I did it in that race, but I did I'm an enthusiast. I wouldn't say I'm highly competitive. I'm probably not going to be competitive. I've got too many lower limb injuries. I've got no cruciate ligament in my left knee. I've had a recon on my right. I've got no ATFLs in both ankles. I sent you the photo of my foot. That's just a mess. So really, I'm really a real dreamer. That's what I am. If I'm going to be a real dreamer. You know, I think that
Nothing wrong with that.
What I tell me myself, I'm a marathon runner. Yeah, that's who I am. I get up and I get my marathon shoes on, I get my marathon pants on, I go for it. But that's the mindset that I have, though. Like when I'm trying to do something, I might not be the best, but I'm out there thinking that's what I am. That's what, you know what I mean. I'm just trying to put myself in that scene. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
brilliant, great to hear. And because of that, you ran a marathon, half marathon backwards. Is that right? Half marathon backwards, and under what was that? Under 2 hours, under 3 hours.
That again, I think it was under 4 hours, but that was pretty
under 4
shitty
hours.
time. Yeah, I'll smash
backwards.
that time. Yeah, backwards. Yeah, that was tough because I'd only really just been running 20 Ks at that time. Like this time last year, I'd only just been running 20 Ks like comfortably, only just like at 6 minute sort of Ks. So to run that backwards, that was a massive challenge. I nearly died doing that. I swear to God. I got it done. I got it done in the end, and I'd come in like 3 minutes under cutoff. So I was wrapped.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So was that half marathon specifically a backwards half running marathon, or were there people running forwards and you just decided to run backwards?
No, it was a friend of mine actually, Jai. He's a fighter. He said he was doing it backwards, and he goes, "Can't do it backwards." I was like, "Oh, righto," because he's a good runner, and I'm along for the ride. He left me for dead in the last 5 Ks backwards, but I kept on because once I started, it was like, well,
I
I'm
can't
doing
stop.
it.
Yeah.
Around, you know that sort of mentality.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. Now. Yeah, well, stuck there.
Brett,
yeah, go. Sorry, Brian.
I was going to say, I suspect that you could run faster backwards than me running forward. From the sounds of things.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I was 7 minutes 30 Ks I was doing. You'd be about, I mean, the slowest you run forwards would be about 6 minute 30, 7 minutes, I think, per K. But, yeah.
Bloody hell, man. That is incredible. And so it's 120 plus days now, no days off, 2 training sessions a day, minimum sort of 45 minutes for you each day. And you've been more than 5 months, no alcohol, no drinking as well. Is that right, Brett?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I've been actually, so it's 61 days plus 75. It's 107 and 6. Yeah, it's actually 6 and 7 is 13. And 137 days, I think now. I think so. Something around that anyway. I can't do maths under pressure.
Yeah, same. I was waiting for you or Brian to give the answer.
Yeah, get the calculator out. But I've been twice a day. I did the 75 days hard challenge first time round, and I failed it because I didn't read enough. 10 pages a day you got to read of a non-fiction.
Right.
And drink shitload of water, like 4 litres of water. I've got that under wraps this time round. So I'm 61 days. I went back to back. I'm 61 days into the second round, and I've done everything, as per there's a few things that are items that I didn't comply with in what their 75-day hard thing is, like the cold showers and shit. I'm not doing that.
Cold showers are good.
Yeah, they are. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It was enough for me.
Yeah, they are, but nah. Yeah, fair enough.
Every day, not every day. Yeah, I got, so now I'm like, like 14 days off finishing, and I think I'm just going to go straight through and just keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Why not? Beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bloody good to hear. And we did that marathon backwards running. Have you got another marathon event coming up?
Yeah, I do. I've got the GC30. It's a 30 quicker. That's on the 27th. So I'm all primed for that. I did 5 Ks backwards this morning on the beach. You always get a few looks, don't you? What the fuck are you doing, mate?
What's wrong with you?
Anyway, I'm running backwards, and I got the 5 Ks out. I haven't done much training because my lower limbs have been really inflamed, and had some dramas. But this GC30, that'll be the furthest I've run backwards. So that'll be a real challenge. I'll get it done. I haven't done enough training for it, but I'll get it done. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
Have you got a time that you'd like to sort of come under with the 30, considering, you haven't been able to do as much training as you'd like with the injuries and inflammation and all that sort of stuff? Have you still got a time that you'd like to try to come under?
No, this will be the participating award.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah.
No land speed records here, buddy.
No. All good. All good. I like that participation. Participation has its place, I reckon.
Yeah. But look, for this, I can run. I'm okay running forwards. Like I could probably do it in, sub 5 minute Ks.
Yeah.
I reckon if I was to go forwards, I reckon that's good for me. Like
That's
I think
yeah.
I could go 450s, 445s maybe, you know. But I haven't been able to do the volume. It's just that's unfortunate part of injuries and age and
definitely. No, fair enough. I want to ask. I want to get into some of the points here about overcoming and how you continue to strive. And I think you've sort of alluded to some of the stuff that you're doing at the moment, and how you continue to strive to overcome, some of those demons and that sort of thing. And so I'd like to, if you wouldn't mind, how have you been able to work through the overcoming of the heavy drinking? Like sounds like you've just gone cold turkey, I'm not going to drink. It's been 130 to 140 odd days now. I'm just not going to drink. How did you do that? Was that easy? Was it hard? Was it because you saw and just looked at and focused on your family being the most important piece to you? Did that make it easier? What was that process like?
Yeah, so I want to think about this and give you, a measured response here too, because obviously the catalyst in any decision, like, a decision like this, when you are just going to go cold turkey, it's got to come from a place of sincerity within yourself. You can't bullshit yourself. After a week, you're back off the wagon again, and you're back to square one. If you're not going to be honest with yourself, but I think if I'm going to be, it's the family paradigm where just the exposure to the behaviour, even though I'm not saying it's outrageous behaviour, it's not you.
Yeah.
When you are inebriated around your family, it's just and you'll see a lot with some of the stuff I put up. It's a lot of thing is we're the leaders with our kids. Like it's monkey see, monkey do. It's you can't on one hand look like this and then tell them that. They're just going to copy you.
Yeah.
And the paradigm for me, when I just seen all this behaviour, and I've just drank forever. It's just all I know. So I just don't want more. I want my kids, if they want to drink, fine. But I want them to have a choice. You sort of back them into a corner and they don't have a choice if you're always on the piss and on the drink and doing whatever. So I just made a decision. I made a decision that I just had to do something. I couldn't keep living like this. It was just, I was too guilty, man, to be honest. I just felt too guilty. I mean, obviously the guilt with my brother and all the rest of it. And, having said those last thing I said to my brother was, pull your head in or I'm going to give you a hiding. That's the last thing I ever said. And then he's killed himself, Then he hung himself. So I walk around with a lot of guilt. I don't fucking eat anymore, and that was just, it just kept compounding and it's like pushing me down and down and down. And I just went, no, fucking, that's it. I can't fucking do this anymore. And I just fucking, I just got to a point where it was like fucking, it was either fucking boom or just fucking change everything, I guess, in my own head.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it anymore, mate, to be honest. And so here I am today, alive.
That's awesome. Alive and smashing with regards to what you're doing. And it sounds good. Like the plan, from what I'm picking up, to just carry on doing what you're doing, I think would be a great thing for you and your family. How has your wife, Bianca, have you and her had conversations? Have you found your connection and your communication better as a result of you not doing, or, you not drinking and that sort of stuff?
She's going to fucking crack up when she hears this. I don't fucking talk. That's the thing. Like, I'm not a talker.
Really?
She's going to go. And if I say that our communication's gotten better, she'll fucking slap me. And that's not like, if I'm going to be honest, I've actually gotten a lot more internalize, and I just think a lot more, but I think a lot more deeply, and I do, my actions, I believe, are a lot more fundamentally sound than my words. I think I'm, my lack of communication is made up and kept our relationship buoyant by my action, if that makes sense.
Yep,
it
does.
That's I'm in a place now where a lot of shit I've drank all my life, and 20 years later or 19 years later, I'm fucking thinking about my brother, nearly in tears sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck? But you just never give yourself a chance to deal with it. So what do you think's going to happen? You just bottle it up, and then here I am. So I guess I've had a lot of thinking, to do as of late, and I've worked a lot of shit out, and I really feel like I've gotten into a really good place.
Awesome.
Do you think it would be fair to say that, as you talk through your entire journey, there's been a lot of noise, and a lot of noise has been heaped on you, and by extension, the noise you've created, as well as being sucked in all that noise, and getting to this point now that you've kind of broken free of the noise. It sounds like you've gotten a lot clearer. There's clarity of thought, and just the way your energy that you've given off over the last wee while that we've spoken, a lot of it seems like a man that has, I know where I'm heading to, and I'm dealing with stuff, and things are starting to drop away. Would that be a fair summation?
It is, but a massive fan of mine too, without being cliched, and I hate cliches. The David Goggins, like, I fucking watch the bloke religiously, man, and just some of that shit that bloke does, like. But one thing he says, and it resonates so resoundingly with me, is that fat man, he lurks. He fucking lurks. And if you give him a fucking sniff, he'll be back out there anytime, he'll just come and rear his ugly head, and then here we go, back on the wagon again. It just takes that moment of weakness. I don't feel like I'm in that point, Brian, where now I can, like I'm going to be easily led or, manipulated or cajoled into something that I don't feel like's the right direction for me. More so, it would be like, I know myself so well now at 41. You'd fucking hope so. That but now I'm just like, well, fuck, I know all these. I know what you're trying to do, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, I've got two voices going in there. I know what you're up to. Yes, plain, isn't it? Does that make sense?
It does, mate. It does.
Yeah, it does.
And it's good to hear. It's good to hear. And it's, it's good to see that there appears to still be this happiness and joy, as difficult as the things in your past has been, and still rears up every now and then, which is understandable. But it's easy to see and hear that there's this joy and happiness in you as well, particularly when you're speaking about your family, and even when you're talking about things that you know where you're at and where it is that you want to go. So that's great to hear. I liked and be interested to hear about how you've gone about changing your language to yourself, because you touched on this with some of the notes that you sent through, and I really love that point. What has that been like, and what have you been doing to try to change your language to yourself? So with the stopping of the drinking and that aside, obviously the physical health and the mental benefits that come through that exertion and all that sort of thing. But I think you touched on, which I didn't read, and when we were having our back and forth about reading and stuff like that, obviously listening to David Goggins and people like him. What other things, or what things have you been doing to try to help change your own self-talk language to yourself?
Yeah, you're a summation of all the people that you surround yourself with. Like, if you're gonna, you hang with four losers, you're going to be the fifth. You know what I mean? Without, what I mean by that. You sort of. Yeah. I've really changed. I've really changed the people that I associate with. That's for sure, and that's for the best. Right. We've got some guys. I can't even go there, but I've really changed that that association, and I've changed like the language. When you do strenuous activity or you're going through something tough, you would know more than me, Joe. Like, you've done those watched your podcast, man. I'm just blown away. You guys are just the epitome of hard work and like guts and grit. And it's just that language. I know that you know what I'm talking about. It's like that positive. It's like, yes. And it's just like you see when I'm running or I'm doing something that's tough, I'm seeing a marker up ahead. I'm not thinking about the whole thing. I'm saying yes. And I'm getting vocal in myself. I'm saying yes. I'm changing the language in my own head, saying yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes. Not, oh, fuck. Oh, I'm just fucking yes, yes, let's go. You know, just that gung-ho mindset. That's, you know, and I try to emulate a lot of guys like yourself, and I just think, how are these guys? What would WWJH, what would Joe Hotai do? You know what I mean? Like that, man. You know, I try to just get those, you know, picture that, you know, those characters, and yeah.
Awesome,
that
man.
Makes sense.
It does, mate, and it's so good to hear.
Wow.
And I love how you mention every day as day one. Can you just elaborate a bit more on that and what you mean by that for you and how you apply that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as it alludes back to that you know, that fat man, he still lurks. You know, that to liken it to that, it's like you've got to wake up, and you can easily a lot of times like a lot of people are big on the you got to wake up at 5:30 every day. You got to wake up at 4:30, but for me, that doesn't work because I'm a fucking shit sleeper, and I'll wake up. I'll wake up at 2, but then I'll just go. I'll go at 2.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just try and wrestle myself back to sleep or something, I'll just go at 2, and then I'll try, because I've got a bit of flexibility with the circumstance with being a business owner. I can kip out through the day or whatever. So I'm pretty lucky like that. But yeah, I guess that. The thing, I guess, that helps me is, just knowing that if I thinking consequentially, I guess, I want to think about this answer because it is important. Thinking consequentially, and it goes back to early childhood at school when we used to get in trouble, right? And they used to have a thing called a plan, right? I used to be in the naughty corner a fair bit. And so they throw you in the naughty corner and they give you a plan, right? They call it the castle. You go to the castle. I don't know what the fuck they're on about there, but they go to the corner, it's a castle, right? They give a plan. And on the plan, you've got to write, it's stop, think, do. So you've got to stop, think, and do. You got to write all this shit about what you got to do. So, man, I tell you, that fucking worked. I still fucking think like that sometimes, and that's got me out of a whole lot of shit. I've stopped and think, and so the day one shit is like, well, I'm going to wake up, and then there's an option to do this, and then, all right, no, stop. If I know where it's going to go, because I know my worst self, I'll stop, think, do, go that process. It's an automatic thing. It's
Awesome.
It's funny. It's crazy, those little things you learn at school, hey?
It's good. Well, it's good that you've been able to retain that one, stop, think, do, because that reminds me, I can't remember the exact site, but that's a common sort of part of the process in terms of the oil and gas and mining and construction when they're doing their little risk assessments, stop, think, do, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it is interesting what you hold on to. And it's great to hear, though, that you're able to apply that and still use that with regards to your everyday. And I think there's some good wisdom and stuff there for each of us to be able to take from that as well. So thanks for that, Brett.
Yeah.
No, thanks so much.
Absolutely, because what I've heard is a starting or a starting point being a fixed mindset, like this is my circumstance, this is it, and then through your journey over time, you've gone to this point now that you've got this really growth mindset. It's like, all right, I can accomplish this, I can do this, but it's taken time to get there, which is the I guess the hallmarks of a growth mindset. We have to go on the journey to experience that, and you've broken free of whatever shackles that you've had with this, where you started from to right now. It's like I can almost see Brett as like going, I can conquer this world. But that's what I see, because that's the energy that you're putting out. It's just incredible to feel that, and I'm picking that out.
Thank you. That's a massive compliment. And, thank you.
That's what I see, and I pick that people, when they view this podcast, when they hear it, they're going to pull that energy and say, "Look, I can do it." You're going to be somebody's Dave Goggins.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
guaranteed.
That's why I wanted
100%.
that. Look, I don't think I'm anything. I just want to be really clear. I don't think I'm better than anyone, or I don't think. I just know that I had a fucking hard journey up until now, and not to say that mine's been harder than anybody else, but I just always felt like I was behind the eight ball. Didn't have my old man or anyone sticking up for me. Felt like I was on the butt of people's jokes, and still sometimes am, I guess. But I guess that sort of inspires me. I don't like giving people the fucking satisfaction either, So that's an inspiring factor for me. But I just really feel comfortable in myself that I can share these things now. I didn't feel like I could for a long time, and I just feel like the hallmarks of bravery are being able to share things like this and are being able to represent yourself, how you feel you are, So I'm just really really chuffed that you said, thank you so much. It's a massive compliment to me to know that, that I'm putting across my true self and that you recognize that. I appreciate it.
That's awesome, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Your true self. And I love those words, Brian, what you just shared. Yeah, you're 100% right. Brett will be somebody else's David Goggins. When they listen to this, maybe not everybody's as they go through, but we're not trying to please or appeal to everybody, but definitely and for someone. And we've really been enjoying listening to him. We've still got more that we want to ask you. So hang on. So I want to get into... So you've been learning and practicing Russian. So I'm going to practice mine with you.
Here we go.
And practice mine with you.
Here we go.
So here we go. I'll go here. Dobro utro. So I'm saying I think I'm saying good morning. Dobro utro.
Good morning. Yes.
And if I was
Što ti delić?
What's that mean?
What you doing?
Oh, what you doing? See, I don't know that. I do know how to say, or I think I know how to say, how are you? So I'd say kak dela.
Kak dela?
And then
Nepoha. Ya nepoha.
What's ya nepoha? Is that like I'm good or
I'm not bad.
Not bad. The only response I know to that is хорошо or очень хорошо, which means I'm good or I'm very So cool. And spasiba.
Spasiba, отлично.
Brilliant. And so how long has your Russian journey, when did you start? Because I don't think you haven't started that long, but you're working on it over this next 12 months. Is that right?
I just love language. As when we went on deployments, I did the small language course they had up at Ballabo.
Yep.
I did that one with the TEDM and all that, and you remember actually, remember that when we went walking up at Ballabo, remember there was that incident and I seen you up on top of that feature and you were following up and there was guys, there was case, they called everything, all the whole works went on and everyone went up walking around and I believe there was, they found some guys, there was nothing of it. But I was talking to one of the guys back in town and he told me that militia.
Militia, yeah.
And then that sent you blokes walking around looking for nothing.
Sends us on a walkabout.
But that's been that was sort of the start of the journey. And then I had a Russian trainer and I sort of wanted to learn, as a respect and I just like to immerse myself in culture, different cultures. I just like it. It's the spice of life. And so I started learning Russian and then I don't like reading books, so I've tried to sidestep this 75-day hard challenge in true Brett Whitton form. Okay, I'll read a book, I'll read a page, but it'll be an educational page. It'll be a page of Russian. So I've got the Babbel app, and I do that.
Nice.
Every day, so I do at least 10 pages of that. That's me.
Beautiful.
I'm still doing it, aren't I?
That's cool. Yeah, that's very good to hear. And is so on that? I love how you, because it helps with not only the hearts and minds and all that sort of stuff, which you're trying to do, or which we try to do, particularly in the Defence Force and that sort of thing, but it transfers to just life in general. Like I would imagine at your not only Muay Thai but BJJ class, is your professor Brazilian?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Portuguese and all that sort of stuff. Like there's, just all these
Yep.
things. And what I've found, and you would find too, I have no doubt, when you take the time to even just learn a little bit of somebody else's language, whether it's to say hello or to greet them or to say thank you, man, there's a different vibe or feel I find as well. Do you guys get that?
Yeah, it's respect, mate. You know,
Mm,
you learn somebody.
Mm.
You know, you're making that effort to learn somebody else's language.
yeah,
Like that's to me, like if you've got any brains, you're going to recognise that and go, "This guy's really making an effort to be my friend."
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, and that's
Mm.
to me that's sort of what it sort of means, and
yeah,
it's a good embodiment of what it's about, I guess.
yeah. Beautiful. I love this last little piece here before I want you to start talking about, and we're going to ask you some questions about your business. Is never be afraid of feeling, and I think what I've really enjoyed is listening to you, and I think Brian as well, from listening to what Brian's just mentioned so far, is that yeah, you might not, Bianca might have a laugh because she's like, "What are you doing? You're talking so much now. You're not really talking like this when you're at home." But to listen to you speak so openly, authentically, and speaking from the heart, with regards to the stories that you've been willing to share and the information which you've been so open with us,
Mhm.
there's definite value in your words that you shared and sent through to us about never be afraid of feeling. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind just speaking to that a little bit more from your own
Yeah,
perspective or view on that. Again, with the intention that somebody out there, somewhere, someone needs to hear what Brett Whitton's saying.
yeah. So
Mm.
um, this wisdom was bestowed on me by my father, believe it or not.
Wow.
As
Yep.
yeah, it's just bizarre, isn't it? Sometimes everyone, and this is what our professor actually says: everybody can teach you something from a white belt to a black belt.
Mm.
A white belt in life or a black belt in life. Wherever he stands in the belt hierarchy.
Yep.
The point being though is, I think more or less what I mean by that is like you have your rough times, you have your rough moments, but a lot of people, I think you'll find, or if they internally look at why they do things or
Mm.
why people commit suicide, it's because they can't stand feeling like that. They're afraid of that feeling coming back, and they don't know if they can handle feeling like that. So I guess um, for mine, what's helped me is it's more or less just that. Well, okay, it's a feeling. Feel like shit, but I feel like shit when I go and run. 40 k's in. So what
Yeah.
am I afraid of running 40 k's now, or am I afraid of am I afraid of this feeling? How I'm feeling? Am I afraid of that? Well, the answer resoundingly no, because I mean I go out there, and that's why I think the fitness and the high intent, the hard yakka stuff, it ties into this because you get to challenge yourself out there and challenge your emotions out there, and it transfers back when you're sitting around and you're not, I guess, and you're in your own
Mm.
head.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Man, thanks for sharing that, Brett. And it's great to hear. Like it makes sense to me, even though I might not be able to articulate it very well, but that never be afraid of feeling, and those feelings can be real powerful drivers for us and help us to either overcome those things, like what you've spoken about already so well, and or they could be stumbling blocks for us, and they do and are for many people, like you've touched on so clearly as well. And so I love that message about never being afraid of feeling and try to embrace that. I've heard some people talk about those challenges and difficulties and the pain, whether it's physical or mental, helps them know and realize that they're alive, and that it's okay, that it's normal, that everybody has those moments in time where they'll feel and have those struggles. So yeah, appreciate you speaking about that, Brett. That's awesome. I Last few bits from me, or this section here that I want to dive into. Actually, second to last piece. I
Sure.
love how you went to how do I say it properly? After the tsunami in 2004, Banda Aceh.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you might touch on that one.
Yeah. So you went there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
volunteered to just go over and help out, or was there contracts or something that came up and you went over to help with the
Uh,
cleanup and relief? Right.
I just went there. My mum, because I was on the piss flat out. This is after my brother died. I just picked up the bottle and didn't stop.
Yeah.
Broke up with my girlfriend, sort of thing, and I was just running amok. And Mum just said after the tsunami hit, we seen it on the news, because you seen on the news, they were like, we need aid, we need help, all the rest of it. And, Mum probably thought I was a little bit more experienced or a better soldier than I actually was. So she's gone, right, I think you need to go over there and help. So she's bought me a ticket, hasn't she, 2 weeks after it's done, and she sent me, I said, yeah, I'll go, sweet. So I got me pack with my Ellis frame and all that.
Yeah.
Took that full of food, went to Medan, and then got me way into there, and just ended up rendering some assistance in various avenues there. But it was really tough to actually get in there. There's a lot to this, so I don't really know what you want me to elaborate on, and because it could take some time, you know what I mean. So I'll just let you sort of lead me as to what
okay.
You know.
Maybe if you could talk about, so that helps paint a picture about you getting in there. Basically, Mum said, "Yep, you go, take your skills, get over there and help out." Once you're there, once you got into country, because it sounds like you had no contacts or connection or where to start. So what did you do to get started to try to help?
Yeah, sat on my ass for a couple of days, watching telly, trying to, work it out in Medan, and then just went and started trying to connect the dots out the airport in Medan, and just try to connect dots with people and network to get a job, essentially, because I got there and I was like, oh, it's too hard. I'd go there. I went to the airport and they were just like, no, mate, who the fuck are you? Like, you're just going to be a liability, I guess. That's probably what they were thinking. What's your skill set, But, being the way I was pretty gung-ho when I was that age, and being the way that I am, I was like, well, fuck, I'm here now. I'm fucking going. Yeah. I'm not going there and just like coming home and not doing it. I'm fucking going there, mate. So
who did you speak to, and what did you tell them? Say, hey, I'm a builder, like I'm here to help, or how did that go down, or what? Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't. I went to the airport, and there's like a lot of NGOs.
Right.
There's a field at the airport. There was a lot of NGOs there, just sort of set up camp at Medan.
Gotcha.
Because they got, it was so makeshift, and the level of chaos and the actual, just like the organisation, you would know, Joe, like seeing. You think things are so organised, but they're not. You know what I mean? You just go, right, that's where all the money goes, is it? Okay. But so I went out to the airport and tried for a day, and I got some little bullshit passport thing that they said you needed to get into the zone, because it was actually currently at civil war with an Islamic group called the GAM. So they were trying to sort of starve them out and sort of flush them out and all the rest. And that's what they end up trying to do. But there's a lot of layers to what happened there and all the rest of it. But to cut it a little bit shorter for you, I ended up just going, well, fuck. No one had let me sort of get on the plane and go in there, because it was about an 8-hour journey on on a bus, or 7 hours or whatever it was. And so you sort of really wanted to catch a plane there, but no one had they were all earmarked for people of importance, and understandable, or family, whatever. So I didn't fit those categories. So anyway, I just got talking and walked around. Anyway, I ended up just finding out there was a bus that went there. So I just went to the fucking bus station, got a bus, didn't I? And I just got in a bus and through these like winding hills, and got in there, got pulled up halfway through at in the middle of the night, pulled off the bus at gunpoint. Mate, who are you? Get off the bus. Indonesian soldiers.
Yeah, and, right.
They allowed me to go back on, went back on, got into Banda Aceh, jumped off at the footy field. That's where the setup was. That's where the bus stop was and the setup was, and just got off there, and it obviously dawned on me, after looking at it, what the fuck I was in for. Yeah. And then just wandered around looking for a job. Lucky it was daylight. It was first thing in the morning. So I'm there walking around looking for a job, and people are just like, what the fuck are you doing here, man?
And what job did you end up landing or doing to help, and, to do your bit there to help out with, what I could only imagine being a very, tragic time for a lot of people with the amount of loss of
Yeah.
life and the damage and all that sort of stuff. What sort of work did you end up doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it was like there was not a lot of local people because they were all wiped out. There wasn't a lot of people there, to be honest. There was a lot of foreigners, a lot of NGOs running around, and there was a lot of waste. But my job at the start, because I approached, there was a UNHCR tent for the displaced people at the footy. And I sort of approached that, and I thought, as a reference point, it's a good place to start. Walking around there, looking. I ended up hooking up with a couple of different people, and having chats, and sort of trying to get on board. And they were like, "Yeah, come on board with us." This is all in the same day, by the way. And I ended up. Well, the morning I got there, and then I ended up getting talking. I don't remember exactly, but I ended up getting talking to IOM. International Organisation of Migration. Right. And I told them that I had my own food and shit. I was just here to help. And they're like, well, okay, well, we got trucks. You can go and unload trucks. You can go out with the trucks. You can come stay with us as long as you got your own food.
It's frozen again.
Which I ended up eating. But, yeah, I ended up going out and just going out to the outlying regions with the trucks to those outlying regions for a little bit, and until I ended up pissing a few people off in true Brett Whitton fashion. There's a lot to it, I could go right in depth to it, but maybe yeah. But I end up going out there and working on these trucks and upsetting a few people, and because I was just too gung ho trying to move aid too fast, like.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like on the back, and people weren't sort of pulling their weight, and I was like, "Fuck, come on, mate, just tasking people and shit." Just it's a bit embarrassing. If I'm going to be honest, it's a bit embarrassing. But that's just how I was. But I ended up
sorry, go.
You go.
Oh no, I was going to say I could just imagine. You go there because you have a certain work ethic, right, in a way of wanting to do things, and when you see something like that, and I can only imagine from your perspective, you've gone there with this really great intention of wanting to try to help as many people as you can as quickly as you can. And if you are tasked or assigned with a group of people that are perhaps not used to working as quickly as what you're accustomed to or as what you expect, I could imagine how frustrating that would be. I actually saw little bits and pieces of some of your commentary on your IG talking about there was something to do with some prayers that was happening, and you asked them if they could do their prayers at different times. And I think some of that might have been the catalyst for some of the stuff to not go down too well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% true. And because that job, that where I was on the trucks, like I was out there, and these are people that are displaced. They've got no food. They're just fucked. Yeah. And here I am, like tasking them quickly. Let's get this shit off the back of the truck. I look back now and just go, "You fucking knob." And I just shake my head. It's embarrassing. That's why I almost don't tell many people because I'm a little bit embarrassed about it. But I just got to be honest, man. Yeah. But I'm here tasking. I think like. Getting shit done, and anyway, so they ended up pulling me off that. They said, "Mate, we've got another job for you.
Just over here. Just come over here."
Yeah, supervision. We've got to supervise this guy. Yeah, they put me out on the airport, at the airport with a bloke who was sort of running the operation for IOM and USAID. His name was Pierre King. I just worked as his lackey, really, getting a couple of radios, going between the tarmac and there were sorties of helicopters that were continually up and down, not static, how they work.
Yeah.
My job was just to make sure that the trucks from the tarmac were supplied to the footy field, which is about 1K as a trip, 2K round trip. Yep. So I had about 10 trucks that I had to make sure these guys, they were locals, a lot of them of Islamic faith, they were locals there, and I was tasking them to get that food there, and I was directly liaising with a guy, US Marine. I think his name was Major Thomas, but I'm so a
Right.
little bit hazy. It's 20 years odd ago.
Yeah.
And so my job was just to make sure those helicopters didn't stop because it cost too much them staying static, really. And so to get to that with the, I managed to upset more people there. I was just trying to keep the aid, and like I was under pressure too from USAID Major Thomas to keep the food there, right? And so these truck drivers anyway, I sort of didn't really click too much, and they were always sort of stopping, and I kept getting feedback, we need to hurry them up. So anyway, I worked out that they were stopping and praying at certain times of the day, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
and like, I mean, that's
Because
a
of their
natural
faith or whatever, eh? Their faith in their
for
religion.
the Islamic faith. And like, again, I'm going to be very clear. I'm not prejudicial. I'm not racist. I love Muslim people, and it's not even about that. I was just naive and just fucking dumb, and gung ho, But I had an intent, and I felt my intent overrode their liberty to. I thought it was more important. Do you know what I mean? In the scheme of things, so. I was up these blokes, wasn't I? I was like, nah, fucking bullshit. You just need to stagger your prone. Nah, fuck, get in it. Come on, mate. And they fucking reeled.
That would have went down like a lead balloon, right?
Honestly, I felt, I haven't felt unsafe many times in my life. Unsafe. I felt fucking unsafe after I said, like, I really, these guys wanted to, I swear they wanted to kill me. I swear to God, they wanted to kill me. Like, I was making them look bad by saying, I said to them, your people are out there fucking dying. You need to stagger it. My intent was right, but you just have to say that shit, man,
Yeah.
So
the delivery was probably not the greatest from their side. Like they, again, that context of they didn't understand potentially where you were coming from, how you were feeling. Your intent was pure, is genuine. There's no denying that, being there in the first place, wanting to get aid to the people that needed it.
That's right.
Yeah, but their side and their faith, it's a powerful thing for people with their faith and their beliefs. Man, I could just imagine, hard case. Because I do remember you talking about that. You thought that they were going to kill you or something.
Yeah, 100%. I swear to God, there was plans afoot. I swear, they fucking hated me, man. They hated me guts after it. I felt so uncomfortable. I actually left. I was going to stay on. I was there for around 3 weeks, and I actually left in the end. I just felt that uncomfortable, and they were just being pricks. Just finally fucking, it was almost like it was, forget about the tsunami, just let's fucking get this guy.
Good thing you bugged out of there. Good thing.
Oh, definitely, mate. Like I felt like it was time to leave, and I got really crook for a bit there too, and it was time to go in the end.
Man, hats off though, and much respect to you for heading over, doing something like that. As challenging, daunting, and as difficult. And there's lots of able-bodied people able to do that, but not everybody went over. I know I wasn't there helping and supporting in that, but people like you did go over and provide their support. So much respect to you for doing that, Brett, and those that have gone over there as well. So that's awesome.
All the things you've done as well, Joe. Like, I just want to be, mate. You blokes, carried the ball up for Australia and New Zealand. And that's a massive respect. The world, the civil that we know it as we know it, our country, that we all just got to get behind our soldiers, guys like yourself, and we appreciate it.
Oh, awesome, Brett. Thank you. I want to dive into now this last part here and acknowledge your business. So we want to, it's not some people might say a shameless plug, but who cares? I don't care. What is the name of your business? What is the website?
Yeah, we're just www.retaincon.com.au. That's we build rock walls basically. We did a scope of works with structural landscape, more detailed stuff, but I've really moved away from that because the old KISS acronym kicks in. Keep it simple, stupid.
And so
keep it simple.
And so how did that come about? Like, when did you do this trade or develop these trades and these skills that because you've been in business for over 9 years now?
Yeah. So I was a concreter. When I was about 17, I started concreting. And then on and off, I had been when I left the army, I started concreting again in around 2003 ish.
Yep.
And as I was concreting when my brother died, so
Yep.
up until about 2007 ish, and so I sort of learnt my concreting trade there, and I just I had some opportunity with my current business associate, Jason Rice, top mate, top bloke, very accepting of me, and puts up with a lot, the poor bloke. But he he had the idea to start this business, which we've got now. We've had for 9 years,
Yeah.
and we're just we haven't made $1 squillion or anything like that. But as they say, I've just been lucky enough to be wise enough to let my cash flow fund my investments somewhat.
Yeah.
So that's really been the paradigm for the success of this business. It's not a highly successful business, but it's a means for cash flow for these sort of small business sort of ventures.
Awesome, man. And are there
Wow,
many
that's so cool.
other businesses in your area that do the exact same work that you guys do?
It's
There
super
is?
competitive.
Yeah, right.
And like, I don't know if you know much about like the stereotype of the Gold Coast. There's a lot of sharks here. It's just,
Yeah.
it's one of those places, man. Like, if you can build a brand that people trust on the Gold Coast, man, you're doing fucking well, because there's a lot of dishonest behavior. There's a lot of, there's just a lot of deceit and a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
rip-offs, so it is a tough market to gain that trust with people. But I mean, look, you have a look and you be the judge of our page and like
Yep.
what we do on the Instagram and all that. And look, I believe we're in sync with what we say we
Yeah,
are,
nice.
so pretty proud of that.
Beautiful.
So it sounds like your values definitely align with your actions, and you talked about it before.
Yes.
You don't just talk the talk; you actually walk it.
Thanks.
Shout out, shout out. These are the people you want to see if you're talking about concreting. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so the retained you're doing, because I've seen some of your videos, you're doing work internally in the kitchen areas and all that sort of stuff, bench tops, all sorts of things.
Yeah, so what our core business is, sorry, I didn't elaborate when I said the KISS principle. The main thing, we used to do all the detail. We used to do a lot of concrete. We used to do a lot of landscape, but we do like rock walls basically now, just your basic dry stack, keep it simple stuff.
Nice.
And that's what really, really works for us, just niching that way and not trying to set the world on fire and go out there and do the best
do everything.
work. We just try and niche to one thing now. And that stuff that you've seen, that's the reno. I've been renoing my house.
Right. Okay.
Nice.
It's the bane of my fucking existence, mate.
And well, on that, how much more time have you got planned or intended with the reno on the house? Not
honestly,
sure. Is that putting you on the spot with Bianca when she sees this?
2 weeks. No, yeah, she's not listening. So. 2 weeks, mate, I'd say. I'm hoping to have it on the market. So,
awesome.
Look, it's been a real journey with that too. Like, because we came 5 years ago, we had fucking nothing. We had no money, nothing. And I was like nearly out of business, all the rest of it, and just turned around in the last 5 years. And I've got a place and just, really, really been grateful that I've been lucky enough to land on my feet.
Good for you, man.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's a test to my wife, as she's been the main driving factor in all that.
Brilliant. And so I'm assuming she works with the business as well, with your guys' business?
She's full-time mum with the kids.
Right.
She basically does everything here, and I worry about work and money.
Gotcha.
Like some people have you believe that that's sinister too. I don't know why, but I mean, it's what works for us.
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
it has to be that way for the type of business that I run. And like I'm good with kids to a degree, you know, yeah, but
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I could never do what she does, It's crazy.
No, that's awesome. I get it. And that's yeah, some people have their different opinions on that, but I think that works well. And it sounds like it's working well for you guys as well, which is great to hear. So
It is,
they're doing this type of work. What do you enjoy? Is this something, the type of work that you do, aside from what it allows you to be able to do from a financial perspective and that sort of thing? Do you really love what it is that you do, work
Yeah,
wise?
that is a good question. And there are days that I love it,
Yeah,
and there are days I loathe it. So it's a love-hate
love hate.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
There's another cliche. I'm just throwing them all out today. It is easy. It is. It really is. I've got. It's because there's some days you just wish you never woke up, and there's other days that they're just like the sun's out. Like we've had 3 weeks of rain,
Yeah,
and that's costing
right.
money. We can't work. It's you got blokes ringing you up, and you got guys. Oh, I want to work, and if they're subcontractors
Yeah.
or what have you, like there's nothing you can do. Like you can't just give them money; they've got to earn it.
Yeah.
So, and it's been a really tough year this year, I think.
Yeah, right. Hopefully, and just on that sort of sidetrack, this wasn't in any of the notes, but has COVID impacted your guys' business at all for you guys?
Yeah,
it
it has.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a smartass about it either, though. I've probably been busier than I've ever been before in my life.
Yeah,
If
right.
I'm honest, like we had a hard time at the start.
Yep.
For sure. Like everyone locked down, and there was a lot of knee-jerk reaction stuff happening over here as it did in NZ.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it flogged us for a bit, but we got back on our feet, and I believe, like it was probably due to my business colleague Jason, his tenacity, and just doing diligence, working out what we could get. There was a little bit here and there with some grants and stuff that we were able to access to get us through that time.
Yep.
This year's been absolutely shocking though. Like probably the worst year nearly on record. But lucky I'm all right. But yeah, it's been up and down. But the year like probably 2001, the previous financial year, just probably one of the best ever.
Yeah.
And
right.
this year, and the year before was terrible. So it's bad.
Man, well, it's good to hear. It sounds like overall, though, you guys are in a good, stable-ish place with regards to your guys' work and being able to provide, which is good. Mate, I've just got probably a last couple of things that I'm going to ask you to wrap things up from my side, but I'll just check in with Brian if you've got any things that you want to touch on or speak about first and ask Brett.
I guess the only thing I really wanted to touch on, and it's probably just my summation of everything, and I've been enthralled. And it's interesting to me, Brett, that at the start you go, well, I'm not really a talker. If Bianca hears this, she's probably going to laugh. But we've just spoken for a good couple of hours.
Crazy, hey?
And you
flies by.
It's crazy. It's flown by, but. More importantly than the time has flown is just the way you've just shared, been authentic, and I've just listened to what you're saying with it, and man, it's a journey, and I've been hearing this journey of incredible challenges that you've refused to let dictate you in the end. You've used it to shape you to get to where you are now, but not let it to dominate you. You could have gone to quite easy. I can imagine you could have gone, this is who I am, and this is what was happening, and that's it. I can't get any better. But you've gone, no, stuff that's not me. That shaped me. I acknowledge it, but you know what? I'm going to build upon it so that my kids and their kids, they will see a positive spin to this. They will see a different aspect. But you know what? There's these other things that two thoughts jumped in my head. One is, if there's ever if there ever is a bully around, the first person you want to call is Brett. Is saying, Brett, come and help out, mate. Come, there's this guy we need. you know. But it also ties in with something you've just said as well, which is it also shows this other thought that, and it's particularly around the whole Anzac spirit thing, is like, if the chips are down, you know, it's probably that kind of old cliche. It's like, if the chips are down as a Kiwi, and it's me and the Kiwi. If there's me and Aussie and the chips are down, it's you. That's what I hear. Right? I want somebody like Brett got my back, because then I know my back is protected. That's what I hear, mate. And that is so powerful to gravitate towards, and it's just a strengthening mission message that you share, because you've just been raw and authentic all the way through. It's no, I can trust this guy. I can trust this guy. And I know where he's come from, but I can trust this guy. He's got my back. Now let's get stuff done. That's exactly what I hear, and I hope those that are listening can kind of feel that as well, and feel that energy, and just really pull off these really good vibes, and know that, hey, your journey that you may be on, whoever they are, that's not the sum total of it. There is more to come, and it's positive. And here's a great example, and his name is Brett. So, brother, thank you for sharing your message. For me, it's just been incredibly powerful.
I don't know what to say, mate. That's a huge compliment to say that, and like I guess that's what the goal is. I guess to be that person that you can trust and count on, because I've been let down so many fucking times. It's losing faith in people. Well, if you expect a lot out of people, then you fucking better be a person that you can give a lot. If you expect a lot, that's why I don't have a lot of friends. I don't hang with anyone, because I probably have too high an expectation on what I believe friendship should be. And I feel like I give everything. I feel like I give everything to people. I do as much as I can, but I don't. Honestly, there's a lot of things that you probably I haven't said, or that you may, there may not be, that in line with that. I'm no angel, that's for sure. But I definitely do my best, and I really appreciate those kind words, Brian.
No worries. No,
awesome, and you deserve them. I have this question before. I'm going to take some time to just acknowledge and wrap this up with you, Brett, in our time. What would be Brett Whitton's definition of a better future? What would you like to see? If you could narrow that down to 3 things that you would like to see, or maybe it's just one thing, but let's say a maximum of 3 things, what would those include from Brett Whitton's perspective to help people, individuals or families or communities create a better future?
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. I think just that's so,
because it will obviously, and I think it will. Well, I know it has for me, but it'll obviously change over time. But thinking and taking into consideration, your journey to date, because the best is still yet to come. What would be?
I think more, look, for me personally, in my circumstances that I've been where I've been, I think more attention to like to children's needs. Definitely more attention to children's needs, and like the way that children transition with parents that are like drug affected, or things like the whole paradigm surrounding care with like children with drug affected parents. I think that really needs to be revised, and it needs to be just superseded. That's just really things need to change there. So, I mean, that's the first glaringly obvious thing that I could say that needs, like, and that's on an international scale too, mind you. Like, we're here, we've got the luxury of having a first world country, and here we are, ironically talking about that, and you've got way worse elsewhere. So, I guess on a local scale, I would say that. On an international, global scale, I would say, man, we just got to do more for those emerging countries. Like, there's just not enough. There's not enough afforded to them, I guess, in the scheme of what's fair.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be, honest.
Awesome, man. I love those points, and that's perfect. Like there doesn't need to, because it's a huge question, but we like
Yeah,
asking that question because it's always interesting to get people's take, and it's going to come from their experiences, which is where we expect it to come from, and then over time, next time we have Brett Whitton on, there may be other different things that are coming up or different
Right.
views and perspectives. So we really appreciate you sharing that. Now, before I close and wrap this up, I want to take some time to just acknowledge you as well, Brett. On behalf of both Brian and I, it's been an incredible time. Really enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
this. Man, time really has flown by quick, including the couple of dropouts that we had because of your dodgy internet connection. But
yes.
but we've really enjoyed sharing this time and space with you, Brett. You've been absolutely sincere in the way that you've spoken.
Yeah,
There's a few times when I've listened to you talk during here where I couldn't just help but smile because it reminded me of cast my mind back to the days in the military where every second word was a swear word, and I was trying to not smile too
Couldn't help
much,
it. Yeah,
and it's just a natural way for where either ex-defense force and or even tradies, I think as well, speak. But
yes.
I really am grateful that you accepted our invitation to come on, that you've chosen to speak the way that you're comfortable with. Like I tried to mention at the start, but neither Brian and I are here to try to dictate to people how they need to speak on our podcast. If you swear, you swear. If you don't, that's fine. If people want to listen, they'll listen. If they don't, we're not worried about that either. So your messages have been more important. Stopping, thinking, doing, thinking about and reaching out to others, being mindful of the words that we say and the time, place, and circumstances of which we might choose to approach somebody to speak with them, never being afraid of feeling. These are powerful messages and things contained within your story, which is still only a snapshot of the things that you've been taking the time to share with us and our audience today. And as Brian has mentioned, I really hope that as people listen, that they, if they're not really big on bad language, it's fine, but try and get past that and listen to what's been said, how it's been said, and also what's not being said, because there are messages contained within the things that you've respectfully and for your own reasons have chosen to not delve right into the detail with, which we completely understand and respect as well. But we've picked up on those messages that are hidden in there, and they're gems, real gems in there, and really appreciate you, brother. Love what you're doing with the health and fitness. Love what you're doing in terms of prioritizing your family and shrinking that what's that saying, show us a picture of your friends and I'll show you your future, or whatever the term is, but shrinking
Yeah.
that down to have the
Yes.
right people in the right
Yes. Exactly.
place at the
Yeah.
right time with you, and you supporting them, you having their back as well, all that stuff that Brian mentioned as well. So brother, we're really grateful to have you on the podcast. We appreciate you sharing your story, or a portion of your story. We know that there's a lot more to it, and we look forward to connecting with you again.
Love to.
www.retaincon.com.au. People need to get there in Queensland if they're looking for values-based work that are going to deliver on the things that they say that they'll deliver. You just need to check them out on Instagram to have a look at that and see the quality of the work. But bro, we really have enjoyed this time. Wish you and your family all the very best, and we look forward to staying connected and following you along on the next step and seeing the completion of the home when it's all done.
Yeah. That will, mate. Yeah. Look, I'm just so honoured, and I just, like, man, I told you, and I got my child. Like when I joined the army, all my dream was to be in the SAS.
Mm,
I just wanted to be in the SAS. Like, I'm just like, and then a trooper asked me to go on his podcast. I'm just like, oh wow, like
mm,
I just, man, I'm just really, really, I'm just really honoured, man, and I'm just so glad to be here. And I just really want to thank both of you guys. Brian, mate, you've just asked some really nice questions, and like questions that
Thank you.
actually are thoughtful, not
mm,
just your token question. I know you're thinking about listening to what I'm saying, because a lot of the time I find when I've shared stories similar to this to people, why I don't share them, I don't talk a lot, is because they don't fucking listen. And you
mm.
say something, and they just come back and they say something dumb like, oh yeah, the other day I went surfing. After you've just told them, you scared the fucking, you spilled your guts to them about something. They told you some shit like, oh, dude, you're not even fucking listening, But you guys have been listening, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm just so honoured. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Australia, Aotearoa, New Zealand, we've had the pleasure of having the one and only Mr. Brett Whitton. We hope that you'll take the time and that you've enjoyed this time here with us today as we have. And we wish you all the very best going forward. Keep smashing, stay safe, stay awesome. And we'll connect with you again soon down the track, Brett.
Thanks so much, guys. Absolute legends.